My name is Helen. I'm 84 years old, and there's something I've been carrying for a very long time. It's not dramatic. It's not the kind of thing anyone would make a movie about, but it's mine. And it's heavy, and I think I need to say it out loud before I can't anymore. I never told her I was listening. Her name was Carol. My daughter, she's gone now. Has been for 11 years. And when I close my eyes, I can still hear her voice coming through the kitchen wall. We lived in a small house in Ohio. One of those places where you could hear everything. The floors creaked. The pipes hummed. The walls were thin enough that you didn't need an intercom. Carol's bedroom was right next to the kitchen. And sometimes, late at night, when I couldn't sleep, I'd go downstairs to make tea. Not because I wanted tea, just because I didn't know what else to do with myself. And that's when I'd hear her talking on the phone, crying, sometimes laughing, other times whispering things I was never supposed to hear. I didn't mean to listen at first, but after a while, I did. She was 16 when it started, maybe 15. I don't remember exactly. Time does that. It blurs the edges of things you thought you'd never forget. But I remember standing there in the kitchen, holding a mug I hadn't filled yet, just listening. She'd be on the phone with a boy or a friend, or no one, really, just talking to herself, the way young people do when they think they're alone. And she'd say things about me. My mom doesn't get it. She doesn't listen. She doesn't see me. I stood there frozen because I wanted to walk in. I wanted to open that door and say, I'm right here. I'm listening. I see you. But I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid she'd be angry. Maybe I thought it would embarrass her. Maybe I just didn't know what to say. So I stood there in the dark, holding my empty mug. And I listened. It became a routine. Not every night, but often enough. I'd hear her talk about school, about a boy she liked who didn't like her bag, about a teacher who made her feel small, about friends who weren't really friends. And she'd cry sometimes, quietly, the kind of crying you do when you don't want anyone to know. And I'd stand there on the other side of the wall with my hand on the counter, wanting so badly to go to her. But I never did. I told myself I was giving her privacy. I told myself she needed space. I told myself that teenagers don't want their mothers hovering. And maybe that was true. But I think I was also afraid that if I walked in, she'd know I'd been listening. And then she'd stop talking altogether. So I stayed quiet, and I let her think she was alone. The years went by. She graduated high school, went to college, came home for holidays, but not for long. And we were fine. We talked, we laughed, we had dinners together, but there was something between us, something I couldn't name. A distance. Not angry, not cold, just distant. Like we were standing on opposite sides of a glass wall, waving at each other, but never quite touching. I thought when she got older, we'd get closer. I thought when she had her own life, her own apartment, maybe her own family someday, she'd understand me better, and maybe we'd talk. Really talk. But we never did. She called me once a week. Sunday afternoons, usually, we'd talk about the weather, about her job, about what she was cooking for dinner. Safe things. Easy things. And I'd listen the way I always had, but I never told her. I never said I heard you all those years ago. I was standing in the kitchen and I heard everything you said. And I'm sorry I didn't come in. I don't know why I didn't say it. Maybe I thought it didn't matter anymore. Maybe I thought it would make things worse. Or maybe I was still afraid. She got sick when she was 42. Cancer. They caught it late. And for 2 years, I watched her fight. I sat with her in hospitals. I held her hand during treatments. I brought her soup she couldn't eat and books she was too tired to read. And we still didn't talk. Not really. There was one night, near the end, when she was too weak to sit up. I was in the chair beside her bed, and she was drifting in and out of sleep. And she said something quiet, almost a whisper. I wish she'd known me better. Mom, I froze, just like I had all those years ago, standing in the kitchen. And I wanted to say, I did know you. I heard you, I listened, but I didn't, because what good would it have done? She was dying, and I'd spent 40 years listening through walls instead of walking through doors. She passed 3 weeks later, and I've been carrying it ever since. I think about it a lot now, what it would have been like if I'd just opened the door. If I'd walked into a room that first night and said, I heard you, and I'm here, would things have been different? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe she still would have pulled away. Maybe we still would have ended up on opposite sides of that glass wall. But at least she would have known. She would have known I was listening. I've learned something sitting here at 84, looking back. Listening isn't enough. It's not enough to hear someone and stay silent. It's not enough to love someone from a distance and hope they feel it. Because they don't. They can't. I spent so much of my life afraid of saying the wrong thing. Afraid of making her uncomfortable. Afraid of being too much or not enough, or just in the way, and in trying not to make mistakes. I made the biggest one. I let her think she was alone. I wish I could go back. I wish I could stand in that kitchen again, hear her voice through the wall, and just walk in, sit on the edge of her bed, put my hand on her shoulder, and say, I'm here, I'm listening, and I see you. But I can't. Time doesn't work that way. So I sit here now, in a house that's too quiet, with walls that don't carry voices anymore, and I listen to the silence, and I wonder if she knew. I wonder if, somewhere deep down, she felt it, that I was there, that I heard her, that I loved her. I hope she did, but I'll never know. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe because I need someone to hear it. Maybe because I hope it means something to someone else. If there's someone in your life you've been listening to from a distance, don't wait. Don't stand on the other side of the wall. Just go in before it's too late